Hey guys, this is Ray with PhoneArena, and boy isn't it exciting when we have to compare two major flagships. On the left side here we have the mighty Galaxy S4 and on the right we have the extraordinary Lumia 920. Now obviously these two guys here have absolutely no way of sorting out their differences, so let's just go ahead and see what each of them has to say in this epic fight. Could the Galaxy S4 and Lumia 920 be more different as far as design is concerned? Hardly. Samsung's device is made from a somewhat flimsy feeling plastic, although in theory it should be polycarbonate, which is the same material that's used for the construction of the Lumia 920. However, the Nokia here feels much sturdier, it's more durable, it's heavy, it's solid, it's built like a tank. While the Galaxy S3 feels much more flimsier and delicate. This, however, has come at a price because the Galaxy S4 is the thinner, lighter and more compact handset of the two, which makes it, of course, more comfortable to use compared to the heavy and bulky Nokia here. The screen of the GS4 measures 5 inches, while the one of the Nokia Lumia 920 measures 4.5 inches. The GS4's display is not only bigger, but it's also sharper, because it's a 1080p display, 1080 by 1920 pixels, while the one on the Lumia 920 is 768 by 1280 pixels. The Lumia 920 sticks to the tried and true LCD IPS technology, while Samsung is counting on its Super AMOLED screen. But don't worry, this is a much better AMOLED screen than anything you've seen. It's not oversaturated, it's not too cold. Of course, that is in case you're using the additional profiles here, which allow you to achieve much more natural, yet still quite dynamic colors. Overall though, the screen of the Lumia 920 is superior in terms of overall quality. It's not super bright, but it's a bit brighter than the one of the GS4, which allows it to be more easily visible in direct sunlight in outdoor conditions, and it also has the more natural colors. Okay, so Windows Phone 8 may not have been the hero operating system Microsoft hoped it would be, but it's still a viable alternative to Android and iOS. We have to admit though that Windows Phone 8 is still the more difficult platform to approach due to its radically different user experience, whereas Android has more of a standard icon and widget-based user interface. Like here you have your home screen pages and you place icons, you have your main menu, you have your file browser, so pretty standard stuff here. The Lumia 920 with Windows Phone 8 has different user experience idea behind it. It has these live tiles on the home screen, which are a strange mixture between icons and widgets, and at the same time, it's also based, the whole user interface, the whole user experience is based around the idea of these hubs. So there are a few major hubs like music and video, like the Office hub, the Games hub, which are kind of like very advanced, very big applications, and they actually house a lot of the functionalities that are typical of certain features like music plus videos. Obviously this is gonna be your multimedia thing with your music, videos, store for multimedia content and stuff like that. So it'll probably take you a bit more time to get used to Windows Phone 8, which is okay, we guess, but the thing is it worth it? Is it worth to go through the trouble of learning Windows Phone? Well, our answer is yes, but only if there is some specific hardware feature in the Lumia 920 which you absolutely love, because in terms of pure software layout and capabilities, Android 4.2, especially with Samsung's TouchWiz on top, in our opinion, is far more versatile and superior to Windows Phone 8 as an operating system. With a smaller screen or not, the Lumia 920 comes with a better QWERTY keyboard, which makes typing somewhat more intuitive and faster. Sure, you have that extra row of numbers with the GS4, but the keys are smaller and they don't feel particularly spacious even when typing in landscape mode. Still, with the GS4 you have the option to install some other QWERTY keyboard that may prove to be just the right one for you, whereas that freedom is not there with the Lumia 920, which isn't such a big issue because, as we said, its built-in keyboard is great. The Lumia 920 has an amazing browser with Internet Explorer 10. It may not be as fast as the one in the Galaxy S4, but we certainly appreciate all the fine details that have been polished to perfection by Microsoft, like the double tap zooming, perfect text size boosting, and user-friendly scrolling. Still, the awesome browser on the Galaxy S4 has a few tricks up its sleeve. How about flash support? That's one thing you'll never get with the Lumia 920's Internet Explorer. However, reading may not be as easy with the GS4, as it doesn't seem to have noticed how the other browsers around it tend to increase certain fonts in order to ease reading. There is no doubt that the Galaxy S4 is the real specs monster between these two smartphones. The Samsung flagship comes with either Snapdragon 600 or Exynos 5 Octa, depending on the market, while the Lumia 920 comes with the humble dual-core Snapdragon S4 Plus chipset. System performance will definitely be just fine with both of these handsets, though the Lumia 920 will certainly not be as future-proof as the Galaxy S4 with regards to third-party applications and especially games. The Galaxy S4 is also far more versatile when it comes to storage space, as it comes in 16, 32 and 64 GB versions. Meanwhile, and it also has the microSD card slot, whereas the Lumia 920 here only comes with 32 GB of internal memory and no option to expand that storage further. Expectations towards the camera of the Lumia 920 have always been high, and for the most part it has failed to live up to them. This is exactly what we observe now that it competes with the 13-megapixel shooter of the Galaxy S4. Interestingly, Samsung doesn't really praise the camera of the Galaxy S4, but it's so much better than the one of the Lumia 920. To start with, the Galaxy S4 features tons of different shooting modes and options, and while we're far from thinking that all of them will come in handy, some of them might be useful in certain situations. The Lumia 920 isn't exactly free of any settings, but there are much less. That would have been okay, of course, if the quality of the images was better than that of its opponent. But that is not the case. The Galaxy S4 captures much more detail in its 13-megapixel shots, and it also keeps noise levels at bay. While noise is easily seen with the Lumia 920 when shooting in cloudy conditions, for example. In addition, the Lumia 920 tries to get some liveliness in its shot by boosting the contrast and altering the colors a little bit, but it doesn't really do it right. So for the most part, the Galaxy S4 remains much closer to reality in these aspects. Pretty much the same observations are valid when taking images indoors in low light conditions. In terms of 1080p video recording, the Lumia 920 doesn't fascinate us with anything, as the video itself has a bit of a high contrast, but its optical image stabilization more than makes up for that, as it makes all camera movements appear very smooth and pleasant to the eye. None of that constant trembling with that is visible when shooting video with the Galaxy S4, which of course lacks any kind of optical image stabilization. As far as pure image quality is concerned, though, the Galaxy S4 once again takes the cake, maybe with the exception of extremely low light recording conditions. Surprise, surprise! Neither smartphone is particularly good for carrying out conversations, as both of their earpieces sound somewhat bad. The Galaxy S4 does manage to slightly edge the Lumia 920 in that respect though, and the same thing goes for its loudspeaker, which although not particularly awesome, tends to be significantly clearer than that of its opponent. Well, it's been another action-packed face-off, and we think it's clear already which device we think is the superior one here. It is the Galaxy S4. Sure, its appearance isn't as fancy and sturdy as that of the Lumia 920, but that's about where the Nokia's advantages end. Samsung handset is definitely the more convenient phone to use, as it is much lighter and thinner, while at the same time it packs a significantly larger display. But that is not all. The Galaxy S4 also has a much better camera, and when we turn our attention to the software experience on both of these guys, that is where the Galaxy S4 easily gains the upper hand, as it simply offers so much more, both in terms of custom built-in features and third-party apps. Microsoft has certainly nailed a number of things in Windows Phone, including the web browser and QWERTY keyboard, and of course Nokia throws in the free offline navigation, but those things aren't nearly enough to save the Lumia 920 in this fight. With all of this in mind, the only thing that remains for us is to wait for Nokia's next flagship smartphone and then see how close it's gotten to successfully competing with the most fearsome Android phone around. Thanks for watching, guys. If you'd like to learn more about these super cool handsets here, please check us out at phonearena.com. Thanks for watching.